The final verdict is in. Judge Lyman has ruled on 47.1, and depending on which outlet you check, Blake Lively is being paid by Justin per court orders, or Blake Lively dealt fresh blow as judge rejects bid for massive payout. I like that one more, but let's break it all down. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore. We just had a live with It's Kim. Hey, It's Kim. Thanks for all the work. We went through the 47-page ruling. If you'd like to watch the full read down and our insight and commentary, you can go join over on our website, popcornplanet.com. It's also the place to join. If you want to help this channel right now, we could so use your membership because views here suck. You can also get first crack at the documentary. It Ends with Justice, which is coming out in the next month or so, I hope. But sign up for other support and just be over there and we'll give you more insight. But yeah, the verdict is in. And most of these outlets are clearly on Team Lively because they're positioning this win as Blake Lively granted lawyer fees. New York Times awarded legal fees. The proper people are going to say even what People Magazine's saying. Yes, she won bid for legal fees, but she lost her push for damages. And that's a big secondary part. So depending on which team you are, you're going to frame this as a win for Team Blake or Team Justin. And honestly, I would argue this is kind of a tie. It's frustratingly a tie in my point of view, because as a PR battle, which this actually is, this gave Blake a massive win because they got it. And Blake is clearly, as we expected, using it already. And we'll await her statement, which we'll give you in a later video, et cetera. I'm sure statements will come in soon. Yeah, it's frustrating to see because this ruling, as we've just read it, I don't think Lyman's corrupt. I don't. I am frustrated by him, I'll be honest, because I still don't understand, Kim, why Justin's things got thrown out so quickly, given the corruption that I know we've all seen, the way she subpoenaed us, the way she did the Van Zam lawsuit. There have been a lot of shady things she did that I feel like Justin didn't get to properly check. But you got to remember, before we go through what happened, Judge Lyman tossed his claims, and one of those claims was for defamation. And because he did that, Rule 47.1 claims that if you are dismissed of a charge of defamation because someone files an SH claim, well, then you're technically on the hook for legal fees. Now, Blake was trying to say, well, it wasn't just legal fees, it's punitive damage, which would be like triple the cost. And Lyman was not having it. So ultimately, as we've read through this, I felt a little bit better reading it. Lyman's not Team Blake by any stretch of imagination. He does not really acknowledge any win, in my opinion. Did you feel like he really gave her any actual win in this document, Kim?
I feel like he was very clear that there were things that hadn't been decided upon. And if they wanted them decided upon, it should have gone to court. And There's a few parts in here that are absolutely brutal to Ms. Lively and her team.
And it's not as brutal to Justin as it is more maybe to his lawyers for not doing more that they should have done to prove malice of Blake Lively, which would have tossed all of this, is what kind of Lyman throws back at them. So I want to go through what happens here. So Lively cannot seek treble punitive damages. They argue, Wayfair parties take issue with any award of treble damages. They argue that treble and punitive damages require a finding of actual compensatory damages and that no such damages have been found here. Is which was the argument that they were making here. By seeking damages through Rule 54, now this is Judge Lyman's words, Lively circumvents this web of procedures and processes designed for the orderly, just, and fair determination of civil claims in federal court. In essence, she seeks to pursue a kind of malicious prosecution or abuse of process claim similar to a slapback suit, and to hold the Wayfair parties liable not only for actual damages, but to triple those damages and to impose additional punitive damages, all without the benefit of a formal pleading, discovery, and dispositive motion practice in line with Rules 12 and 8. This is a massive takedown where if there's any takeaway for me, Lyman was making it quite clear. You don't get to just do a cheat code and skip all the levels. No, it doesn't work that way, Miss Lively and team, but nice try. You're trying, it looks malicious prosecution, abuse of process. This is what she's been doing the whole time, Kim. And so while I'm pleasured to see this, he's actually admitting it, which a lot of people are sort of going to ignore this part of it. Any real journalist or person who's following this can't ignore the fact that this is not Lyman seeking or admitting that Lively had a chance. No. He's admitting she's being shady, Kim. What do you see when you see this?
I see something that I feel like I've wanted to see for a while, just showing that the way that this has all gone down at points, it has been sus, for lack of a better term. It's been very, very suspicious. And I think some people, when they look at this case, they assume, you're going to go for one celebrity or the other, depending on whether or not you like them, right? And that's what this is about. But there are a lot of people who are following this case that saw that coming a mile away, because the way that this whole 47.1 has been weaponized is not okay. And it's not the way that it was designed to work by the person who made it. And it's very frustrating, but I am happy to see that paragraph and a few of the lines underneath it. It is.
Yeah, it continues. Also lurking in the background is a potential conflict with the Seventh Amendment, which guarantees in federal court the right to a jury trial, which she didn't do. She skipped. And then she still wants triple the damages based on a law that's provided for survivors who can't afford to do this. And we're going to get more on the fact that she put everything on the line to potentially affect all those survivors in the future based on this flimsy lawsuit. We're going to get there in a second, but let's settle in this win. This is the win portion for Justin by far. To an extent, the claim of damages resembles a kind of abusive process and malicious prosecution courts have held for Seventh Amendment purposes. It continues as he goes in and shows other case languages, etc. The fact only underscores the ways in which her current request seeks to bypass the full panoply of rights guaranteed a defendant under federal law. It is understandable that Lively might attempt to shoehorn her damages claim into 54 motion. Litigation is costly, time-consuming, and risky, and to the extent 471 is indeed a remedy to harm, in remedying harms, defamation defends quickly, effectively, and easily. But he goes in really clearly to label, no, this does not mean that 47 has no home in the federal rule, that compensatory and punitive damage under 47.1 are not available in federal court. It simply means that by proceeding under Rule 54, following the entry of judgment, with all the benefits that rule provides to prevailing defendant and detriments to a losing plaintiff, Lively has chosen the wrong procedural vehicle. Lively's request for damages must be denied. So that's the win for Justin, without a doubt. That's a massive win. And to be fair, Daily Mail is better with their headline because this is a massive blow. They were hoping to get everything and prove it all, and the judge didn't prove shit. They're going to try to spin it that way, but he did not agree with her at all on any of this. This was a massive blow to Lively's case, which was good to see. That. But here's where the other side of the coin comes. Lively is entitled to attorney's fees and costs. Now, this is going to be minor. We don't know the amount yet. They've not revealed that, so be careful out there. People saying it will hopefully soon. It sounds like there'll probably be another hearing or something from Lyman to admit what that's going to be. But he does rule that the attorney's fees are costs. It's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo, blah, 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 blah. It's really hard. Plaintiff not expecting to win, but knowing the cost and burden of defending a lawsuit can wear down and silence critics, particularly when the critic is an individual without the resources to defend a lawsuit, which would have succeeded in achieving its retaliatory aims. This is really what I think Lyman gave her this bone, because this law, 47.1, is there to protect survivors of SH and SA who are being then attacked back by expensive, rich, powerful people to basically silence them because they can't afford to go through a lawsuit. And that's what this law was supposed to be for, not for rich, famous, powerful celebrities that have the New York Times on speed dial, right? And that's what Blake's using all of this for. And she's risking this whole thing because if she had lost, which she kind of did, but now if she lost fees as well, the whole law is kind of thrown out because now they can point to this case as sort of a way of, well, Your Honor, we shouldn't have to pay that now because of Lively versus Baldoni. So she put everything at risk. And I personally think Lyman was just being extra careful here, knowing how serious this was. And so shame on Lively for even attempting to rock this boat, which she did. But I think Lyman's just being super careful and like, well, look, clearly you're not someone without the resources to defend. But if I rule against you here for fees, which are more likely to be gotten, well, it could have serious ramifications for actual survivors of what this law is actually built for. Kim, do you see it as that as well? Do you think I'm off base?
No, I don't think you're off base. I mean, there's been so much chatter lately about 47.1, especially with Victoria Burke coming forward and speaking her piece. But ultimately, I feel like Lyman was in a difficult position. No matter what he ended up doing, it was going to be hard. And I think he's written a really thorough document here to explain his reasoning. And it looks like he went in deep. So as much as I don't agree as much with his judgment, I respect it in the sense that clearly he did his homework.
Yeah, he's being careful. He's being careful.
Mhm.
And then he pushes back on Wayfair. Again, this is why I'm saying it's more of a tie in a way from a PR battle standpoint. Justin kind of pretty much wins because Blake gave up and Blake lost. Like, it's a win for Justin, don't get me wrong. But from a PR standpoint, as you see, Blake's gonna play this. Justin must pay her legal fees, and the judge didn't. Like, she's gonna use all this to spin, and that's what makes me sad because I feel like this isn't really fair. Now, when Wayfair fought back for the request of fees, the arguments come up short. Fees and costs are at least theoretically available in a case like this, and whether the fees are warranted here, and it really comes down to burden and malice is really what the rest of this speaks to. And he even says it's clear that the allegations contained within Lively's statements are the kind for which it would be reasonable to file a complaint. He basically is saying, look, there's enough here that I'm not mad that she filed it. I can't be mad she filed it because there's multiple things, and I did find a few of them questionable and worthy of going to law, even though some of them weren't. Some of them were, and because she threw so many darts at the board, Kim, a couple of them hit like a double shot. So that's why they did it that way. And so because to protect other survivors, I believe truly Lyman's doing extra careful here. You got to keep that in mind because you should be pissed at Lively for her risking other survivors not being able to use this law and everything else based on her flimsy lawsuit. And I will actually credit Lyman because I think he was being careful to ensure that didn't happen to other people. Now, when it came to malice, he makes it clear. They said that Lively's camp was trying to claim that, yes, they alleged malice. The opinion contains no such holding. The court held that Sloan and Reynolds, not Lively, lacked malice because neither was alleged to have witnessed any alleged instances of harassment. Therefore, they had no reason to disbelieve. He goes in multiple times and acknowledges, I've never claimed either way, kind of was what he says. Mm-hmm. What he goes into more specifically and says is that Wayfair never proved. They provided little evidence in connection with the motion and establishing that Lively acted with malice. He goes through a lot of the things that were shared, and he basically throws back at Wayfair, I can't say it's with malice because you did not provide me any evidence that says it's with malice. That's not the same as saying she didn't act with malice. It's the same of, well, I don't know because we don't know yet. And that's where I'm frustrated, Kim, because to wrap it up, in the end, stepping back, far simpler, blah, blah, blah. He's basically saying, look, yes, fees, obvious, but, she's entitled to fees. There's no evidence. She prevailed on her defense, and on this record, there is no evidence of malice. On this record, there's no evidence of malice. Accordingly, she's entitled to her fees. That's what he ultimately deemed, but not all the other money that she wanted, which is a loss for her. But she's going to declare this a win. And to be fair, why didn't Wayfair prove more malice in their proof? I mean, I get frustrated only in that, wasn't that supposed to happen in court? Like, wasn't that the whole point of this? And if the court was then settled, why does she have the right to then still argue this? And why did Wayfair allow her to have this last little branch to potentially get a win? It makes no sense to me. Do you share the frustration?
I do share the frustration. I'm going to be very interested in seeing legal analysis over the next couple of days from other creators and other very, very smart people. Andy and I look at a lot of legal documents, but neither of us are attorneys. And I am really curious to see what their takes are going to be on this. But ultimately, what I really took from this today is you can't claim damages when you haven't proven your damages, and then you choose not to have to prove your damages by not going to court, but you still want treble. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. And I think that was something a lot of people saw a million miles away. And eventually, we're almost through this, I think, this portion of this conflict. There's still the Jed Wallace piece. There's still the Stephanie Jones and Jennifer Abel piece. And we will see what happens as it goes on.
Yeah,
it's coming to an end somewhat.
It is hopefully coming in, and you're freezing a bit. I don't know how, but I'll wrap up.
I'm sorry.
No, don't worry. But a lot of these outlets I'm looking at, I mean, some of them are being fair. The right outlets are going to say both things, right? She did lose big. She did not get the damages as she claimed. Her lawyers claimed she was going to get so easily. This is all going to be sorted out. That did not happen. In fact, the judge reamed them out for trying to be sneaky about it. And so pay attention to the press out there. We'll probably do a recap as well as statements as they come in later. So stay tuned and follow us. But there you go. It is a mixed bag for me. Look, it's still a win for Team Justin. It's over. It's a frustrating slight win for Blake too, because she gets to now claim certain things. The judge admitted that there was no malice and he did forgive my fees. Like, she's going to milk those forever. And that is why I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed at this process and that it got to this point and that she got some bones thrown her way. Knowing everything that they had, I don't understand it. And to me, this is just such bullshit she's going to be able to stand on, that is actually reading this. You can see how shady she actually is, how she's trying to shoehorn her damages into a rule that she shouldn't have done. So this is a good ending, though. We finally have an ending. Things are coming. The documentary is coming. I promise you. Again, I encourage you to go over to popcornplanet.com. We'll put it in the description and comments and stuff. Popcornplanet.com. Go sign up today. Become a member if you want to get first access to the documentary. Go click It Ends with Justice to watch some pre-shows, as well as other exclusive content. Check out the merch. We could use your support now more than ever, so please check it out over there. And yeah, Blake's still trying to shut me down, sort of. Well, not really. We have an update to my subpoena as well, so stay tuned. We'll get to that as well. A lot of this finally wrapping up, it seems. Is it finally over? We shall see.